peace and grand rising to the sovereign, original, indigenous, natural, divine heirs. Today is March the 6th, 1442 on the ancient moon calendar, 1441 on the ancient sun calendar, 2022 on the Greco-Roman calendar, 5782 on the ancient Jewish calendar, and 1443 on the civil Islamic calendar. All rise and stand. This is a sovereign, living, ancient, Al-Moroccan, Moorish American, Article 3, court action. We are the sovereign living justices, in capitis judiciall, in red ink, in propria persona juris, in proprio solo, and in proprio haberes, our free, chosen, sovereign-born appellations, as well as our sovereign free national appellations, are in capitis judiciall, in red ink, in propria persona juris, in proprio solo, and in proprio haberes. Our full faith, trust, credit, allegiance, and energy are hereby vested in ourselves, and we are the people who are the ancient descendants of the great pharaohs of Kemet. We are the original indigenous natural divine ancient empire state of Morocco and the de jure Moorish National Republic federal government, the universal Moorish American consulate, and the Article 3 universal Moorish American consular court. We are peace, we are one nation, we are one state, we are one empire, and we are one God. We hereby exercise all sovereign rights at this time and at all points in time, non-pro-tunc. So the first thing that I want to express is that let's ensure as one, just so that we're all on the same page, that we see whatever we're doing in the way that it is given. In other words, don't use these two eyes to as a gauge to tell you what's going on totally. Use them, but also use the third eye so that you can see what's really, really, really happening right now. Because there are some things happening that we knew were going to happen. We all knew were going to happen. And those things are starting to manifest now. And yes, we can see them with our two eyes, but if you look at them through the eyes of eyes that are programmed by foreigners, then you're going to see things from a foreign perspective, and it's going to look, sometimes it may look scary from a foreign perspective. Some of the things you may see might look disheartening from a foreign perspective. This is from a foreign perspective, not from our perspective. And things might look one way when in reality they are absolutely, when you see it the way that that it's actually being dealt with in the spirit realm, when you see what's going on, it will encourage you, it will make you glad. You will know that everything that we have ever said and known that was going to happen in our favor has already happened, and that everything is in the hands and in the authority and under the authority of the Moors. So today we're going to talk about banking. And we're going to just look at together our banking system that we have set up. And we can take a peek over at what was before and what's happening now, because they're directly related one to the other. Many of you may have heard that everyone in corporate Russia and everyone in corporate Ukraine, the banking has been shut off. There are some who are not in corporate Russia who are on those lands over there. Their banking continues. There are many, many, many in corporate United States and in corporate UK, the bankrupt, defunct ones that didn't really exist in the first place. A lot of them, their banking has been halted. It's been terminated. And for us, what we're seeing is, for example, many have heard that those who look like us in that are on the land at Ukraine territory, not corporate, but the land. Those who look like us have not been allowed to leave, to go. They've been made to stay on the land there. And those who think that they're black over there are in an uproar about that, not realizing what's really happening. What's really happening is the estate has been returned to them, but they still think they're black, some of them. The only way that would have happened that way is there are some Moors there who know who they are, and they've done all the things that we're doing. They've done those things too. So they knew that that the land and all of the resources, everything is returned to them for their use. So again, those who think that they're black are seeing this as the worst thing ever. They're thinking that they're being left to die, and that they're not going to be able to get things and do things and have food and all of that when everything has been left to the Moors there. But we have to be able to see that that is what has happened, or else we'll look at that and say the same thing that the ones who think they're black are saying. They wouldn't let us get on the buses to leave. They wouldn't let us do this. They wouldn't let us do that. So we had to sneak out. Why are you sneaking away from your bastard state? Why? The ones that are leaving and that have left, they're going back to Europe because that's where they came from. So, to the Moors that are at Ukraine, we honor you. We're so glad you're there. And we're so glad that you have taken any assistance that we've provided. We're grateful in terms of the information and what to do. So our banking system that we have set up with moorishe sovereign diall, because the banking has to be something physical in this dimension that can be seen with our two eyes, and then the third eye knowing what we're looking at also and what we've created. Anyone who has any option to that previous banking system, it will be options that they've created for themselves and their nations and governments and states. So what has been created? Let's just take a look at it. There are some who've created what they call cryptocurrency. It's not a real currency unless it's done by the Moors. Now, if there are some Moors who've created some sovereign gold-backed cryptocurrencies, then, or digital currencies, and crypto is not really not the best term to use, but if the Moors define it, then it means what they say it means. Then that's a good thing that the Moors have put that in place for themselves. Our we were sent here, all of us were sent here with specific tasks and responsibilities and national duties and international and universal duties and responsibilities that we came here to put in place. One of our jobs was to put banking in place for us that can be done without the United States Corporation Company, the dead one. So what have we done? We have our own ability to print our own money, and we have gotten trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars printed up, because dollarium is dollars. For us, it is our national dollar. We've gotten trillions printed up, and I want to show you. You know how on the Federal Reserve note, it had two seals on it, on the Federal Reserve note. One of the seals was an incomplete pyramid because the eye was detached from the pyramid, meaning if you're using that, that means that you cannot see that that's not real. So with dollarium, some things that we have done is we've gotten stamps put on the dollarium. First, our dollarium has our stamps on it, okay, as you can see on the screen. It has our stamps on it, and it's embossed, okay. And this is still a usable, absolutely valid dollarium, even though it doesn't have the treasury number on it and the sovereign security number. It's still valid simply because it has the AA99999 on it, okay. And then on, and it's really the autographs that make any money valid, okay? It's always going to be our sovereign autograph. We have dollarium that has those numbers on it that has been stamped and sealed and autographed and all of that. We have all of that. Many more have taken that and put it into their inventory, their money and banking inventory. And so for the Moors who don't have that or don't have the ability to do that, you can just print out regular dollarium and autograph it like this. And if you have an embosser, you can emboss it on, and this is the front of it. And then on the back is where we put the stamp here. This one is King County Superior Court. And we did a county, yes, Islam, autographing in red and all lowercase letters. And we did a county court because the county is the land, and that has the backing and the protection of first of the Moors and then of the subjects. Okay, so we've gotten a lot of dollarium trillions that have been stamped on the back with this, and some of them have it stamped on the front, but it has to have our sovereign autograph in order for it to be valid. Okay. If you don't have it stamped by a county, then okay. It's okay. We just want to ensure that we let everyone know that our banking system is valid, it's working, and for those in the past who we did banking tests with, where we would deposit a certain amount of diallarium into your account and then send you a link to that account. So I want to show you again more how this banking, how our banking opens accounts for Moors. Okay, and really it's the Moor who's opening the account. We're just the fiduciary and recorder of that. And we're fiduciary not of your estate, but of the banking portion. In other words, we just put it on the public record because it's a part of, like any bank does. Okay, so what do? We open the account that the Moor has actually given their assent to be open. And then deposits, exchanges, and transactions take place in that account. And then there's physical money and other banking actions that are printed as a result of that account being open. Many Moors have already printed out their own diallarium, which is great. And many Moors have gotten the banking piece and done research on how that banking piece manifests. And all of that is great. We're putting forth what, our presentment for our nation so that we all know that we have options. And in fact, it's not really even an option because that other system is not going to be here. So we had to put something in place. Someone had to put something in place, and it needed to come from the Moors. So we give honor to all the Moors who put things in place previously. Any linking up that we can do with our bank and other banks, other Moorish banks, we're happy to do that. We would love to do it. It's an honor to do it. Any linking up, any putting accounts where we all work together to ensure that our nation has what we need in order to do sovereign exchanges that are uninterrupted, they're what they call off ledger, but it's not off ledger. It's on a sovereign ledger, and it's off corporate ledger banking. Okay? So we needed to ensure that you all know that there is something in place. There is a sovereign living banking institution that is in place, put in place by our government and our state and our nation so that we can continue commerce regardless of what happens with any corporate banking system that the Moors did not sanction or authorize. So then with regard to the account that our diallarium emanate from, we have, just like what you see on the screen, we have, we stamped trillions and trillions and trillions of diallarium with these seals and stamps, the purple ones. And also we have some that stamped with blue from either Snohomish County or Pierce County or Thurston County. So just like with our documents, those witnesses, and that's all they're doing is they're witnessing what we're doing. And because we are the justices and judges, everything is filed with our court. Do we notify them? Yes, we're doing that right now again. And we've notified the subjects who's witnessing all of this. They were notified the day that we got the stamps, and even before then, because we had to move any corporate out of the way. So we've also notified the Treasury. We have proof of service where they are concerned. We have signatures from them as well, and we've shown you those signatures previously. We can show you those signatures again that they've received. The documents regarding Delarium, regarding our banking, regarding our state and our nation, and they have returned those receipts to us. So these are things that we have to do because the way things are going by the end of this year, and for us this year, our new year starts in a couple of weeks. March 21st is our new year. So we're just preparing ourselves and our nation and our government to continue commerce and to have everything on the public record in the way that it should be, with the proper witnesses and things like that from the lower court, in agreement with all that we have done. Okay, and from this point, all we're going to be doing is sending out mandamuses and any of the 13 great writs that need to go out with regard to judicial banking. So all of the banking that our nation does is judicial. We don't do it by forms and formats and, you know, forms of things, form this and form that. When we say form, we spell it differently because it's an affidavit. And so we're going to continue moving in this direction. Anyone who wants an account with our bank can have one. Anyone who wants one can have one. So in the future, as we go along, first let me make it known that anyone who has sent an email to the governmente@gmail.com, you already have an account. If that is what you want, okay? Only if that's what you want, you already have an account. And we are opening those accounts already with Delarium in it. We're still looking at the amount that will go in there, but your trust amount is always going to be $100 million. Okay. So anyone who has sent an email to the governmente@gmail.com, your account is secure. You already have an account with the bank, and the majority have been sending Delarium or requesting Delarium or requesting our Moroccan American inheritance and investment package. Those accounts are already open. We're just putting them on the record, and then as we go through the emails and continue going through the emails, and we're starting with the oldest emails. Those will be the ones who get the accounts first. We're going to be sending through that email, the same email, the links to your accounts showing the amounts that are in there. The actual savings account will, I believe it's going to start with either 1 million or 10 million, and then the trust amount is 100 million. So the trust amount is separate from the account, and then the actual account that you would use on a regular basis is going to be open with either 1 million or 10 million. Now, the reason I say either 1 million or 10 million is because there are going to be some citizen Moors who still don't know that they're Moors, and they're coming too because they're seeing what we're doing, and they still don't know that they're Moors. So they're wondering how they can participate in what we're doing. And we always say your nationality needs to be on the public record first, properly. So the citizens can participate in our banking, but the primary accounts are for the Moors. The citizens that come to include those who are modern European citizens, they can have accounts with our bank because we have to be able to service everyone on our land. Their accounts will be equitably tributed, which means that according to their status, their accounts will be equitably tributed. So the nationals have one level of account, and then the citizens have another level of account. Okay, and the reason those levels are differently is because we're doing judicial banking, and in judicial banking, equitability is the basis of our banking, judicial equity, which is the same thing that was being done, and we didn't know this, but that's the same thing that was being done previously. Corporations and CEOs got a different level of banking than us just walking in, thinking we're black, and going in and opening accounts. That was even though it was our credit that they were using. So the citizens do have the ability to open accounts with our bank. Their proper status must be on the record as well. And from that point, again, anyone on earth can open an account with our bank because we're the government, we're the state, we're the law, and we're also, the estate. So we have to make it so that everyone can be served on our land. And again, we're doing so judicially and equitably. We now know as heirs, we know that everything belongs to us. We know that. And so we're going to proceed in that manner with everything that is done. The natural order on the land has been returned to us. We have returned it to ourselves. So we've gotten 666 trillion stamped in this manner, a minimum of 666 trillion. But any amount that we need, we can stamp it any day. And so what we're going to do is commit proper public banking in the way that proper public banking is done. So we're taking it a day at a time, a step at a time, an action at a time. And over the next year, because we're going into the new year now, over the next year you're going to see a whole lot of changes happening very quickly on both sides. On the corporate side, a lot of that stuff is not even going to be here. It's not going to be in use. We know of people specifically who don't have access to banking anymore, and they're out there on the public record, supposedly giving assistance to people, but then they were not prepared for banking to be stopped. So, we have to be prepared for that. Our sovereign credit accounts will eventually go into be put on to the banking system that we know of, the one that it looks a lot like the banking that we do today. But that banking system, our banking system that we've uncovered, anyone who's not of the proper status, their banking is being cut off and shut off earth-wide. And then the Moors have to turn everything back on. We have to, because that's how this is done. So as we prepare for what we see and what we know is coming, we want to assure you that everything is going to be okay. Everything is going to be fine. We're all in good hands because we're in our own hands at this point. So let's just keep moving forward. As many as possible, please we're just going to stay calm as this transition happens. It's actually one of the best things that can ever happen to us. So let's just stay calm and keep moving forward. Keep moving forward. So far, I don't know of any more who have been cut off from this system that we've uncovered. They're still able to swipe cards and get what they need and do those things while this transition is taking place. So, but we're hearing en masse of whole populations of those who have not, who don't have their status on the public record, or who are not moored by bloodline and birthright, are being cut off completely from the system because it's time for the system to be what it should be, you know, and that's why we're putting these things in place. So with regard to the 666 trillion, I'm going to show you once again, here, we'll just go ahead and bring up the account so that you can see. Let's see.
We still here?
Yes, yes. We're just we're pulling up the banking information so that you can see the government bank account and okay, hopefully you can see the account on the screen. Can you see it there on the screen?
No, I'm traveling. I'm on my cell phone.
Okay. There should be other more.
Islam, this is Angel Bay. I don't see anything.
Okay.
Islam, konsulate on the screen. I see it.
Huh?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I see it.
Okay, good. So some can see it and some cannot. The ones who can't see it, you may need to go sign out and then sign back in so that you can see it. Okay. And then what we'll do is also just put we'll have you to, we'll go over some of the things that are in it. But we really just wanted to show you the 666 trillion in there that we put on the public record and the date that it was put on the public record, which was September 13th, 1440, which was 2018 or 2019. I believe it was 2019. And then we sent some delarium out to put some things on the public record where, remember we were telling you that we sent some, we notified the Treasury, those custodians doing business. They weren't doing business as anything other than custodians. We notified them. We notified the post the post offices and the postmaster, the ones that were the office of the postmaster, because we're the postmaster. We notified the office of the postmaster and some others here that were notified. And then we put proof of notification also. We uploaded proof of the notification by way of the post office. So we've done some things that we told you about earlier, and at some point we're going to begin. Our nation, our state, is going to begin underwriting other nations' banking. So they're preparing. The other nations are preparing their national currencies, because they have national currencies that need to be underwritten by us. And when I say underwritten, their national currency will get its value from us and from our banking and from what we do, so that we can begin to exchange goods and services. So we're preparing to start bringing in food. Remember the supply chain pieces that needed to be put in place. Okay, so we're looking at all of that. The other nations have ways to get things to us. In fact, you know, many of you may have heard the term sleeper cell. Sleeper cell. And we spell it differently because it doesn't mean the same thing as those who were using acidic English. Sleeper cell is, for us, it's not really a sleeper cell. It's others from other lands who have come here and who've been on this land, and they've already set up supply chain avenues so that we can get things that we need, like food and, you know, materials and things like that do not naturally come from our land here, because that land is ours too. Those supply chain and logistics chains are already in place. And so we can get the things that we need. We just needed to stand as we are now and put the banking piece in place so that we could underwrite, because all of the stuff that they're bringing already belongs to us. Okay? And so the banks that are out there, we're going to use them, but we have to be in control of them. We couldn't use them if there's, you know, corporate involved. So at the appointed time, when the time is right, we will move into those places, or we will issue right from where we are, which is what we're doing now. We're already issuing commands and delarium and all of that out to where it needs to go, so that all Moors on all lands will have a place that they can go to, or they can be the place that people come to who need physical money that's valid and lawful in the territory. So those Moors are setting up, and many of you are a part of that, where any Moor who has printed out delarium thus far will be the go-to for their territory where resources are concerned, because they have the resources. They're already printing. You're already printing the resources, and you're literally making your own selves the bank, a lawful bank that can print money and issue it, and you have the authority to issue it. Okay. So Empress Cynthia and they thank you so much for what you sent me. I'm not sure when you sent it, because my WhatsApp was taken off of my phone. I took it off, and then I put it back on my phone because it was taking up a lot of space. But thank you for what you sent regarding the fiduciary piece that one of the subjects sent out because that particular subject, who shall remain unnamed, most people know who that subject is, but she's giving us language to introduce ourselves properly as fiduciary for our sovereign state and for the United States, which is at the top of all of our letterhead. We're the original United States, and so all resources have to go through us. If the resources could have gone through anyone else, they would have, but they didn't because it has to happen through us. And so we're going to take that piece that you sent us and integrate some of that language into what we're doing as a cover sheet or an introductory letter. And for those who are not familiar with what we're referring to, we're going to put a letter out introducing the fiduciary. We hope that you as fiduciaries will do the same, but we're comfortable doing it as well because all the letter says is that we have been appointed, and again, this is all more. We have been appointed as fiduciaries for the vast estate and for all that has to do with the original United States for America, and that all of the resources there's about 200 nations. All of those resources have to go through the fiduciary. And so that's what we're preparing for right now, even with our banking system and with our ability to underwrite all of the other nations and their national currency. The same way that the United States Corporation Company did with Federal Reserve debt notes. They underwrote all of the debt for everywhere in their corporate world. And so we're underwriting all of the credit for everywhere, for all the land, because we're the only ones who have the authority to do that. So as we underwrite all of the credit that goes out for the food and the supplies and the commerce and the land and the resources, it was our responsibility, and when I say our, I mean all of us here at North America, our responsibility to manifest that and to physically have the money in hand as authorized and autographed knowingly by us with our full disclosure, full faith and credit, and all of that. It had to be on the public record by us, for us, with us, and all of us doing it together as the state. So we've done that, and the transition is going to continue. It will be a smooth transition. It's not going to be bumpy. It's going to be smooth. And for some, we would just encourage you to start focusing your attention on sovereign banking for the time being. Focus your attention on Delarium and getting some printed out so that as this transition happens, just like our prophet said it would, Prophet Noble Jarvis said that, that the economy was going to grind to a halt. And when it starts back up again, it's going to start back up in the favor of the Lord. We have the obligation to put it in our own favor, and we've done that. And we have the witnesses of the lower courts as is constitutional. And from there, we will put forth any other documentation as we move along in this process. So just so that you're aware, documentation never stops. We're always going to be putting out affidavits and laws and things like that, all of us, we have to continue speaking. We have to keep putting the law out there. We have to. We don't have a choice because we're the government. We're the law. And so it doesn't stop. You don't just put a certain number of affidavits out there and then stop. You have to keep going. Because as we move forward, the layers of the estate are going to keep revealing themselves, those layers, those living layers. And as those layers reveal themselves, we'll have to speak life to them and make them come alive so that we can use the resources and whatever we need. And before you know it, we'll have, things that we never even imagined, things that we only heard about or saw in sci-fi movies at our disposal. So if ever I could say that we are on the ground floor or the land, or at the very grassroots of that which is to come, that is where we are right now. We are on the ground floor of all that is new. Old things are passing away, and behold, all things are becoming new, and they are living. And so it's our job and our obligation. We're honored to fulfill our obligation to the nation, to the state, and to the government, to do what needs to be done with regard to the continuation of public banking and private banking and commerce. Public and private are both very similar when you're talking about the sovereigns, because the sovereigns are never outside of their governmental job and responsibilities. Even in our fleet, we're still governing. Empress, you had a question.
Yes, Islam. So I have already gleaned my bank accounts, and I was in the process actually today starting to write an affidavit to both my banks, USAA and TD Bank, putting them on notice that they are no longer the fiduciary responsible party of my vast estate, as well as sending them my fiduciary instrument and my creditor truth affidavit. Is there anything else that I should be sending with that to them and putting them on notice?
My suggestion would be, first of all, yes, and yes, do those things. I've done them already as well. We're working our way through that demonstration because I see, like, whenever we, and this is just some things to note, whenever we send them affidavits, notifications, we've already sent links, we've already, we've gone in, we've gotten their Navy Federal, we have their blue initials on all of our documents and the DeLorean. So one thing I would note, and when I say their blue initials on our DeLorean, I don't mean they signed the DeLorean. I mean that they autographed things, they received everything, and those I took in face to face and gave them the documents. And so there were some changes that were made to that account. And one of the changes that was made, I still am looking at it to see what demonstrations to do next with regards to that, the change that I saw. So my suggestion would be just to watch the account, and your main account that you do all of your getting shopping and things like that, I would not do a complete, they have to know your status, okay? They have to know your status. But when you're talking about starting to send Delarium and put things in, I would wait just a moment so that you can see what happens as you send your documents in, okay? And that's what I've been doing, taking it step by step. So all of the banks know who we are. They know. We leaned them, we sent them liens, we sent them all of that. We sent them Delarium and all of that. And we're just watching it manifest what they're doing. And every more that I talk to who've done those same demonstrations, the banks don't close the accounts because they know we're right. But then they start changing things and testing us to see, okay, do you know what to do when this happens? Do you know what to do when that happens? And so that's what I've been seeing. So, you know, just watch the accounts is my suggestion. And then when you see things, them making little changes or things happening with the account, in terms of regular, you know, it's just regular exchanges that come through. We have to know how to speak to those exchanges judicially to get the results that we need. And the only thing I'm seeing right now that that I'm hearing from the Moors, as well as seeing with my own, is our bank has already acknowledged and accepted Delarium because we are the ones who issue it. But where, for example, maybe Federal, we sent them our information saying that we've already put Delarium there. But when I sign on to the internet and I look at the account, and this is just the individual account that belongs to the state, it's the entire state account still, because we put that in the fiduciary document. They haven't put recorded the Delarium. They have not recorded the Delarium in their records, but I've recorded it in our records, so we know it's there. So my demonstration that I'm doing now is just having the listening to the ancestors on how to manifest the rest of this demonstration, of having them to record the Delarium. Now, from what I know, we have to record it first. Just like in the past, when we were asleep, whenever corporations, who were pretending to be us, by the way, whenever corporations would send a bank something, they would record it in their corporate records first, right?
Yeah.
And then they would put it on the public record and say, this has been the revenue of Walmart for the quarter. They would put out quarterly records of what they took in and what they put out, and those are their banking records. And then if they went through a bank, they would notify that bank, but many of those corporations had to start their own bank because they got too big for the corporate bank.
Yep.
So we have to record everything, and we're starting out with so many zeros that they really can't. Their banking system is not set up for that many zeros. That's the problem that we have with them.
And you know, the funny thing is,
it's not set up for that many zeros. But that many zeros, 100 million zeros in a bank, would have to go on a ledger anyway. It wouldn't necessarily go into the computer. It would go on a ledger. Now, can it be manipulated to do that, to accept 9 zeros? Yes, it can. And that's what we're speaking to right now. That's what we're learning to speak to. Okay? So my suggestion would be just to absolutely do the demonstration and then just watch the account. I sign on about once every 2 weeks because I do know that the more we put on the public record, the more they're saying, we have to do exactly what you tell us, but there are certain things that need to be on the record. So they'll take it a step at a time, and all the things that you put on the record, they say, okay, they check this box and this box and this box. They've done everything in red. They took control of their own capitalism. They've declared their statehood. So we can take this process all the way up to this point and do what they told us to do. But then we need something else, like
appropriation.
some things that we're going to bring forth in the next few weeks. And then there's all of the commands that you've given them, they have to do it. But they have to see certain things because that's the way we set the system up.
Yeah.
So just watch it. You know, watch what happens, watch what they do.
I logged into PayPal and I haven't been there in a while, and I noticed my account, it went from all capital letters to all lowercase letters. So I noticed that victory on PayPal. And then but I want to make mention about the zeros that you had just mentioned and how it doesn't reflect well in their accounts because they're fraud, because they're the dead. But zeros is a circular thing that resonates in the true living being, so that's why it won't work well for them in the dead. And then also, I just finished watching your last video that you did for, I think, Title IV, the federal proclamation, and I think I took a screenshot of it, but it was the here it is, yes. The real party. So it has the three, and then it had the joinder of the real party and interest, and then you skip down like 3 lines, and it says time has allowed for the real party. And so what I highlighted, what I paid attention to, was clear in my face. The first line, it has a capital R and a capital P, and then when you skip down, they change it from capital to lowercase. And I said, well, they just changed jurisdiction at that point.
Yes. I'm so glad you noticed that, infrared, because that happens a lot. A lot. It actually happens in everything they do and everything they write. They're switching jurisdictions right in the middle of sentences. And we have to know how to we have to know how to do the same thing. When we're giving them commands, we put it a certain way, and then when we're talking about us, we put it a certain way. Yep. Hang on just a second. Yes, I'm so glad you noticed that. It was because that's important. That's important. We
and
have
that
to know
also
that they've been playing semantics a long time.
Yes, but to me, that speaks to the evidence of the people who naysay about capitalism and capital letters, because there are still some Moors out there that don't believe that the capitalization of the first letter matters. And I was like, well, if it didn't matter, then why did they do it here? And that's not us writing it, that's them writing it. So if they're doing it, it has to have a matter of importance. So,
yes.
Yes.
And then, you know, those who don't believe it, they just don't know money. Because if you know money, you know that their system is a capitalism system, and that they can't move any money or anything, and they weren't moving money to begin with. But nothing happens unless they put some capital letters on it. If they don't put capital letters on it, then that's the stuff they've been doing behind closed doors. In black ink and all lowercase letters, they were reporting to the IRS and getting creditor status stuff. We have proof of that. We've proven that that's what they were doing. We proved that from their records, not ours. We didn't make that up.
Exactly.
And then why do they call their system capitalism? Why? Go to any financial channel out there, and you're going to hear them just cackling about capitalism this and capitalism that. It absolutely is that. And the ones that don't believe that, it's okay. They don't have, it's not, this ain't even about feelings and beliefs. It's about what's really happening. Watch, look at it. All they have to do is look at it. Is all debt that they were sending in capital letters? Yes. Never once did they send any debt in all lowercase letters. never once, because they couldn't. It ain't that they don't write in lowercase letters, it's that they couldn't send those debts that way.
Yes.
You know, but that's what a remnant will see it. The remnant that needs to see it will see it. Is that going to leave everybody else out? No. It's just that over time, it's going to put them in a particular place until they get it. See, we're all determining our own destinies right now.
Islam. Yeah.
We're all determining our own destinies right now. We're determining where we're going to fit and where we're going to stand in what's happening in the new.
Yes,
indeed. And if they're doubting it and they haven't done the study on it, then that will put them. It's not that they're not going to be saved, because we have already put it into the ether that everyone will be saved. That no one's going to be destroyed. They will just put themselves where they they will demonstrate at the level of their overstanding, and that's going to give them the levels of access. That's how levels of access to the estate are determined.
Yes.
That is how. We are all determining how much of the estate we're going to have access to by being willing and open to do the study and to look at whatever is out there and pull, because see, we can pull from we can learn from anywhere. We can remember from anywhere. No matter who's saying what, we can look at it and pull something good out of it, because we're the source of all resources. And that's how everyone and everything becomes a resource to us.
Islam.
We make everyone and everything a resource. Hybrids and even the ones that were coming in to the call, they would say certain things and yeah, you know, we boot them out because they're interrupting and carrying on. But then we would go back and look and see, okay, what needs to be done here. They were saying something about the building on First Avenue. Let me go back and look at that process. Okay, I know what needs to be done now. That building needs to be properly appropriated. So I know now that now that the building is empty because we ran them out of there. They had to go out because we told them to get out. And we have video of them in there before we did the demonstration, and then we have video and photos now of it being taken. Okay, and so now the ancestors are saying, okay, now appropriate the building to yourself, to your state, not to me, but for our use, so that we can do what we need to do. It's already ours. Mm-hmm. Everything on the land is already ours. So we can learn from it. We're gonna listen to everything and everyone and hear them out, even the foreign hybrids. We're gonna hear them out because they're subjects. We're gonna hear them, and then take the meat and set the bones aside.
Islam, that's the truth.
Islam. Empress, I'm so glad you can see, because I will say this: there are, and this is not this is not minimizing our sons, but the empresses have to take the lead on a lot of these processes, just because that's where the energies are. We have to balance out the patriarchy that's here, okay? Because patriarchy was that last era. Yeah, we have to balance that out so that our sons see the equity in what we're doing, that mother is taking place, proper place. Because protection and safety is in mother, just like it was in the womb from the beginning. Our wombs protected our sons and our heiresses, our nobles and our heiresses. And so does that mean that the sons sit back and do nothing? No. They get up and do everything that we're doing, they do it. But we must be able to see so that we can lead the charge, because anyone who knows what's happening with our nation knows that the matriarchy needs to stand, because it was by the matriarchy that the fall happened in the first place.
Islam.
We have to take responsibility for that. And we do. And now we're taking responsibility for the rising as well. To balance out, Libra energy. Empress, thank you. I can't thank you enough. I have goosebumps just thanking you.
Oh, my pleasure.
For pointing that out.
Islam. Peace and love.
And for doing the demonstration.
Yes, thank you.
That's important. Very important. And it's good that you're doing it with the banks that you're doing it with, because you know, they've gotten things from us, and now I'm getting calls and emails and text messages and hearing your testament from other empresses who have done every single document that we did and sent it to the banks, and the banks are like, we have to do what they tell us to do. So the banks are trying to just work through it so that they do what we tell them carefully. And then we're learning or remembering at the same time. We're remembering at the same time. And then putting our banking in place as well. There's a question in the chat from our United Kingdom territory, Justice Consul. He says, do we send the volume to everyone we notify? Yes. Yes. Even if it's just one volume, $1, send them just one if you want to send them just one. With your sovereign, bright red thumbprint and red autograph in all lowercase letters. Send them just one.
Islam.
Islam.
Sister Light?
Yes, Islam.
Yeah, Justice Frank.
Yes.
Remember the counterfeit money, and they probably don't mean much, but I want you to get into it a little bit. When you market and they can tell whether it's counterfeit or real, they accept the fiat currency. Do we have any, like silk paper, cotton paper, and can we make our own markers to show them that there is real money that is backed by gold? And all right, that's one thing. Keep that in mind. That's banking. Now, the demonstration. So far, 2011. I was averaging $1,200 a week. Now I decided to do $1,200 a month, and so that's my demonstration. And my state corporate state I did has expired. They're trying to get me to recontract, which I will not. And so what's going on there? I'm so glad I waited until the fiduciary document and the Empire State Hood document was completed. I knew for some reason I was waiting for. So the importance of that, they trying every trick in the book to make us recontract, which I will not. And so
let me say this about what they're doing. The custodians are beckoning us to use the system that we've uncovered. The only way to use it, and this is what I would say to you. If you want to renew the identification, you can do that if you want to do that, but you should do it only by affidavit, by court action, and they need to accept the Mariam for it. And if I were you, I would do it that way. I would send them Delarium and send them affidavit saying, yep, go ahead and renew it. It's renewed. I've renewed it. Go ahead and issue it. And here's the Delarium.
That's the overstanding I get. Man, that's what I was waiting on. That's how I demonstrate. Yeah. It cost me a good deal, but yeah, that's what's going on here. But anyway, like that marker now, I don't know how they do it, because I know the money is counterfeit. It's not real. It's politician. But they can mark and say, oh, this is not counterfeit. So, and kind of like getting into that. So I'm talking about banking and I'm talking about demonstration. With that idea.
So with regard to them and their counterfeit money, and that's why, because it's not real money. They're not doing, that's not real. You know, and they know it's not real. That's why most places don't even accept that stuff anymore. So you need to send them something real. Delarium is real. you know. And make sure that you terminated all corporate contracts when you do this, because the system is our system. The system that issues all of that stuff is ours. But we have to speak to that system correctly in order to get anything done. For example, even with those that were doing business as the Office of the Department of Motor Vehicles. If you want to do commerce and you want them to issue the proper stuff to do commerce, then you have to speak to them. You're the living. You speak to them by affidavit. You send them delarium, and there's also a document that says $1 is equal to $1. You put that, include that document in with what you're doing, and do it that way. So that if they issue anything, they're issuing it based on judicial notification and not anything corporate. And that you're not using their military script. So you're not invoking a military action against you. Because, see, that's what those contracts and that fiat is about. It's military script. And it's invoking actions that don't need to happen. We can make it so that that stuff doesn't happen. We can make it so that there's no action where doors are being kicked in and all of that kind of stuff, because we invoke a military action with military script and contracts. Because, see, they have the wrong name put in there. Now, remember what we talked about on the last call. I want to bring that up now because this is important in terms of the names that they've been using in order to, here, let me copy this and put it on this document here so that we can look at it one more time. We have to give them the proper, here. Let's go back to that. The Empress brought this up previously, just a little while ago. So let's just talk about this again briefly. What we're doing is we're giving commands based on our fiduciary responsibility in terms of what name is being put in there. And I'm using the word name. We spell it differently because we know that a name, that we, the living, do not have names. Just one moment. Let me put this here on the screen so that we can look at it. This is what she was referring to in the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure. This is Title 4, Rule 18. And it's talking about names. Okay. If we look here at Part 1, it says a partnership or other unincorporated association with no such capacity under that state law. When they say things like that state, they're talking about whatever state it is that is presenting the court action. In this case, it's the entire state of Morocco. May sue or be sued in its common name. Common name is in capitis diminutio minima, which means the first letter is capitalized and the rest of the letters are all lowercase, okay? Under, in its common name, to enforce a substantive right existing under the United States constitutional laws. This means that we can use in capitis diminutio minima, I can, as the fiduciary for that, I can use Pauline Denise Ritchie or Pauline Denise Ritchie Moore in capitis diminutio minima in blue ink to sue Federal Way, the city of Federal Way in blue, just like the documents that we showed you that they issued when we set ourselves free in the demonstration that we did a year ago, the POW demonstration. By the time we had completed that 10-day demonstration, they issued documents in blue ink instead of in the black ink that they were trying to claim. And so when they issued it in blue, that means that Pauline Denise Ritchie Moore in blue and capitis diminuendo minima, of whom I am the fiduciary, can sue them for wrongful arrest and for unlawful occupation. And at some point I'll get to that. It's not a priority for me now because our nation and our banking and all of that is way more important than that. Because even when they pay, they're going to pay in lawful money. And we have to set that up. So that's why it's not a priority for me right now. Our bank is a priority for me. So that all Moors who have suits out there, lawsuits that they need to file with as the court, that they can file their lawsuit and get the money that they deserve in lawful money. They can't issue lawful money. It's clear that they can't do that. So we can use the in capitis diminuendo minima as a conveyance method by which benefits can be conveyed to the sovereign state, which is the Moors and Morocco. Morocco is our state. It's our empire state. Okay, and so here it says here, USC 28 USC 7 subsection 754 and 959A govern the capacity of a receiver appointed by a United States court to sue or be sued in a United States court. In other words, we're the United States originally. Our court can sue using in capitis diminuendo minima, and here it is right here, minor or incompetent person with a representative. Pauline Denise Ritchie in capitis diminuendo minima in blue is a minor, is a ward of the Empire State of Morocco. I'm the fiduciary, so as the fiduciary, I can put her forth and say, this minor is due proper lawful redress for things done against her. It says here, with a representative, the following representatives may sue or defend on behalf of a minor or an incompetent person: a general guardian, a committee, a conservator, or a like fiduciary. When they say a like fiduciary, that means that the in capitis diminuendo minima, which is a minor or incompetent person, must be of the same nature as the fiduciary. And that's why people who've been trying to use United States, the dead corporate state name to get some type of relief have not been able to get any relief. Because if you're the living Moorish American and you're trying to be the authorized representative of a dead entity, you're just going to get more debt put on you, on that entity, because it doesn't belong to us. That's theirs. Let the dead bury the dead. So now we take that same court action, because now, for example, I'll just use the demonstration that I did. Federal Way, the city of Federal Way is now in blue in capitis diminuendo minima. They're a subject of the board. So our court will speak to them by one of the 13 great writs. And the very first of the 13 great writs is what? The writ of restitution. And for us, it will be the writ for restitution. Restitution is, the word restitution is a derivative thereof. So when people are talking about reparations, that's an incompetent way of saying restitution. But again, not only does the fiduciary and the instrument that we're using, which is Pauline Denise Ritchie or whatever your instrument is, that instrument must be of our nature, but the restitution that is paid must be of our nature also. So we're setting it up so that we minister the estate to ourselves. Lawfully. It has to be lawful money. It has to be. And no one can even issue lawful money unless it's us. So that's why we're doing the things that we're doing. And we have the agreement of the custodian. We had their agreement and didn't even have to ask. We just put it in place because it's due. Those stamps are due. We didn't have to ask anybody for that. We just did it. And so here, without a representative, a minor or an incompetent person. They keep using the word person. So Pauline Denise Ritchie and Captain Benenucio Minima is a person. A minor at that. That's why when we were in that system thinking that we were black, that whenever Pauline Denise Ritchie, that instrument, would go to court, the living Pauline had to be quiet and let an attorney speak. Okay, same thing over here. The fiduciaries, like fiduciaries, speak for our instruments. So we take the United States Corporation Company's dead instrument out of the equation, and we put our sovereign minor in there. And then the ruling is issued in the favor of the Moors. And we say, okay, $10 million for that, because that was a violation of this living minor right here. You violated the minor. And I'm the fiduciary, so we will take whatever it is that needs to be issued in the favor of the minor. We've already done the transfers to minor documents. And so here it is again. Public officer's title and name. A public officer who or is sued in an official capacity may be designated by official title rather than by name, but the court may order that the officer's name be added. This is what we've been talking about. They only become public officers and public officials after everyone is in their proper place. And then they become a public servant. So this is easy. We have to be careful with this language. Their title is public servant because we're the officers, not them. And then it says a minor or an incompetent person who does not have a duly appointed representative, i.e. a fiduciary, may sue by a next friend or by a guardian ad litem. A guardian ad litem. That's someone who is like them, but has guardian status. The court must appoint a guardian ad litem or issue another appropriate order to protect a minor or incompetent person who is unrepresented in action. Okay, now let's look at part 2 of this. Let me see. Okay, that's the same part. That's the same thing. So, you know, this is what we're doing. All that we're doing is just setting it up so that we can reward ourselves for all that we've been through. You know, because we've all been through a lot, but we don't want to keep going through that. So we have to put some real money in place and all of that, and then our courts can put whatever we need to put. Whatever we need to put in place, our courts can do that. Our courts can put it in place, you know, so that we get the relief and the remedy. People are talking about remedy, but you can't get remedy from dead entities and subjects. Subjects are not going to give you remedy unless you're the lord of the subject. They're just not going to do it because they've been instructed not to do it by the Lord. There's time immemorial. You know. So Justice Frank, we can use the system to do whatever we want to do as long as we're speaking to the right system. And you can't speak to the right system if you're using their forms and they're telling you what to do and all of that. We're supposed to know what to do. How do we learn what to do? Just look at the form that they're issuing that says that, you know, you fill this out to get a driver's license, a commercial driver's license, and you do this and do that to get a commercial driver's license. Okay, look at that process and then issue judicial affidavits in delirium in order to get it. And then you'll get it because you will have given it to yourself through your study. Okay?
That's what I figured.
That's going to cause us to look at the processes that we put in place and study them, and then demonstrate them. Proper notification, delirium, etc. And know this, that when you do that with any process, you are putting in place what is necessary for all the more who are coming after you to do the same thing, so that they are valid and going across the road properly with CDLs and things like that. You know, we're setting it up so that any banks that come behind us, any mortgage banks that come after us, have a map, a road map on how to do what they need to do in order to get their banks going. Because as we know, there's really only 13 tribes that do banking. 13 nations, tribes, governments that do banking. 13. And all of the banks stem from that. So we don't want to be left out of that, do we? No. We don't. And we're not going to, because we're setting precedent even for our own nation, our own government, our own state. You know, we're setting precedents and preparing for what we see coming. And all wars are a part of that. Let me just give a bow and a thank you to all the wars who stood for Laria. It's all being recorded, and you just have no idea how that blesses my soul. I'm not going to cry about it on this call, but we needed to do that. That energy is just amazing, amazing, amazing.
Come on, Pauline. Why aren't you taking over First Avenue, Pauline? What's the hold up? What's the hold up?
Just a moment. Just a moment. Our egos are not such that we would jump up and be like, we can do this and that, without proper process being put in place. Now we know we got to allocate that place. We have to allocate proper allocation of it. So we're good with that.
Sister Light,
forcing all of that out.
Sister Light, that's why Capital Domino show medium and maximum. One is the ward and one is the minor. I understand, and I appreciate that information. That's judiciary.
One is a corporation and one is a minor.
Oh yeah.
One is a corporation. All caps is a corporation, but it's a living corporation when it's done on your fiduciary document.
And one is the minor. All caps. Yeah. And but that's the demonstration I do, because what happened? My debit card was stolen, and my corporate ID had expired, and so I just used what I got working with, because I don't need that. But if I need to make a withdrawal, I need the corporate state ID. That's what I'm working on, and that's why the fiduciary is so important. I appreciate that, and so I won't do it. I will not recontract. And CDL, I will not recontract. This has been 2 years now, and I took the physical and everything because of I didn't know what it was, but now I found out. I'm the state of Morocco, and I have to submit an affidavit, and not to fill out their forms, and make sure that the affidavit, that's what I'm speaking now, to see the sovereign. And I agree. Thank you so much. With that, I yield.
Yes, it's on. Yes. So a lot of things are expiring and all of that for many boards, myself included, in terms of corporate things. And we're just going to speak to it from our natural perspective and let the ancestors do the rest. We've done that demonstration several different times, and it works like a charm. It works. And in some cases, we ended up not even having to do a demonstration because we had notified them previously. So they just sent us updated stuff, you know, because the system is our system, but we have to be in our proper status, and then we control those minors, okay? Again, in capitis diminutio minima is a minor. In capitis diminutio maxima, which is all capital letters, is a corporate sanctum for us. It's a living corporation for us. We can use it however we want to use it. However, any corporations that don't have a charter at this point will not be getting a charter. And our charter for all of us is since time immemorial. So that's why no one has the authority or the right to capitalize us, but we didn't know that they weren't talking about us or talking to us. We thought they were.
And our charter is the Quran. That's our charter, the Quran.
Yeah. So the Quran is our charter. The Constitution is the charter that we put on them, and make sure that they know that we're pushing this on you, and not pushing it, but because we don't have to push it. The Constitution, and I heard one of them say this recently, just in the last few days. I heard one of the modern Europeans say that the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence is their only claim to a soul, that they don't have a soul outside of that. I heard one of them say that. And he's not necessarily one that cares too much about, you know, he don't care too much about, well, he don't care about blacks at all, but he knows who the masters are. And he said that the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence is their soul. That is their soul. So, you know, people have been talking about, oh, they don't have a soul, they don't have a soul. If they don't follow the Constitution, if they're not under that, the protection of that, correct, they do not have one. But they're aware of that already. They know that. The Declaration of Independence, because even in the Declaration of Independence, it says that they pledge their honor, their safety, and their lives. Well, where does their life come from? It comes from the one they were speaking to in the Declaration of Independence, the judge of the earth, the Lord. We're the only ones who have the authority to issue a soul. And souls are issued by way of the law, the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, the Declaration for Independence. Are there any other questions? There's someone else, C.C. Bay says they have a question.
Islam.
Islam, Mrs.
Sister Cherry Bay, I just wanted to make sure that I'm on the right thought process. So with the earlier example, the Moor said that he wanted to get, you know, his license. So, and so the response was to issue a judicial affidavit plus the delorium. So I want to be sure that, again, I want to correct my thought process. So whatever service that we are seeking, are we saying that prior to the service, issue a judicial affidavit and the DeLorean as notice that you will be using your DeLorean? Again,
as it is notification that whatever they issue has to be issued lawfully, and that it's not being issued in a manner issued by a corporation. It's not being issued by a corporation. That you're issuing it to yourself, so that they do what they're supposed to do in order to make sure that you get that, but that it doesn't recontract you and adhere you to a corporation so that they can come in and put all of that debt back on the Moors. Because there's a lot of debt that the citizens are trying to get away from paying. And they don't have to pay it if they're under the Constitution. So we want to make sure we stay above that. Okay? So you're issuing it and giving them the command to go ahead and issue it and update it, whatever it is.
So, Empress, so are you saying for any service that we're seeking?
Yeah. Yeah. Because if you use fiat, it's going to be a contract with them, and then they'll send debtors, debt, and policy enforcers, and all kinds of craziness. Whatever it is that you knew they were trying to put on you, that you knew was not supposed to be on you, they'll try and bring all of that stuff back. Okay, so you issue it and tell them that your court has issued it, and that they are to do the same. Okay, but you want to do that, Justice Frank and Empress Cherry, you want to do that using one of the 13 great writs. Okay, when you give them command, your court will issue one of the 13 great writs. And the reason you're doing that is because you're treating them as the constitutionally inferior court, because believe it or not, DMVs, any of them, all of that stuff is just court actions by them. That's how come they feel they can send policy enforcers for people over those contracts, because those are court actions when they issue them. So you have to issue it by court action first, and then tell them that they are to enforce your court action.
Thank
you. That's issued by any of the 13 great writs. And so let's go to the great writ, the 13 great writs. Go ahead, Justice. I believe Justice was one of the justices.
Yes, this is IZ Bay in Los Angeles Territory. I have medical bills. I'm in and out of the hospitals on a regular basis, and I have the what they call the government disability / insurance, and my 20% that they send me a statement for. So I'm trying to understand if I send them the bill back unopened or open and put contract diagonally across, no contract across the bill statement, will that be sufficient with DeLorean? Or will I have to just go ahead and do a court action?
I'm going to let you answer that question yourself.
Well,
just think for a minute. Just think for a minute, Nobility. Think about this. The ones that are issuing that saying that you owe 20%, who is that that's saying that the heirs are debtors?
Well,
it's a corporation. It's a corporation. You don't even have to go any further with that. It's a corporation that's issuing that, trying to make you a debtor. So you've got some work to do. The first thing that you need to do is lien whoever it is that's telling you you owe that. That's number one. Place a lien on them. And that lien that you place on them and that you notify them about and that you put on the public record and that you prove that it's on the public record is what you're going to continue to take with you when you go to places like that, just in case they say, start talking about a 20%. You need to lien them first. You need to make sure that you don't have any corporate contracts, okay, because those corporate contracts is what ties the debt to you. And then what you're going to do is you're going to use the fiduciary document to issue the delarium.
All right.
And if you, and here's the thing, Morris, we have to be proactive. That needs to be done before you need to go to the hospital. Before.
You know, I've been going to the hospital for years.
Yeah, I'm just talking like in general. I'm just talking about to the Moors in general. Not necessarily to you, but to the Moors in general. And then where you're concerned, that needs to be done as soon as possible, leaning all parties involved so that they know not to treat you like a court, so that they treat you like they're the subject and you're the justice and the noble.
All right.
See, it's the same people. It's just that either they have a corporate covering and they're acting in a corporate capacity, or we put them in subject status and they behave as subject should. Because they're just custodians over hospital stuff. They don't own anything. They don't own anything. They're just standing there saying the Moors are coming, let's let them in.
Yes, I have the state insurance I had going on for 20-some years, and I was trying to understand, understand the process. So because that's the only insurance that I have.
So this is what you want to do. You want to properly state the insurance. Your insurance, when it's in its corporate status, it's under the United States Corporation Company, but when you state it, you want to put that, you're the fiduciary of the insurance company, so you're going to put that and you're going to add them to your fiduciary document. Leave the corporate court and then add them to your fiduciary document saying you're the fiduciary of the insurance company and there is no 20% owed. That's a 20% credit.
All right.
We all have to do that. It's the state that's been claiming everything, and that's not a living state. That's a dead state. We're the state. So we have to state the benefits properly. We have to state the benefits properly.
Thank you, Isla.
So, and also I would encourage you to look at the state, their codes and statutes with regard to how that insurance is issued. Look at their codes and statutes on how that insurance is issued. And then you can take the language for one of your 13 great writs that you're going to issue, stating, take one of the 13 great writs and the fiduciary document and a lien on them. And delarium. That is how you claim the benefit properly and state your beneficiary status. Because you're a beneficiary, you're not a debtor. They're the debtors. They're in debt. But you have to put them in debt by liening them. And then when you show them that, yes, I know that you're a debtor and I'm the creditor. And as the creditor, we're issuing delarium for anything, and you are to discharge that debt. Delarium discharges debt. And you can look back in 1933 at all of the different iterations of things that came out in 1933, including USC, it's 95A. And our Grand Chief mentioned that this past Friday at House of the Awakening Mind, subsection 95A. in the code that says that all debt belongs to the United States. And we talked about that on previous calls. So if I were you, as a suggestion, do the research on how they're issuing that benefit, and then put the language in your one of the 13 great writs. Generally, it will be the first or the second writ. The writ of restitutio, or I believe it's a writ of prohibitio, is the second one. And then there's a mandamus and a full warrant in there also. Those are
same with
the.
So I get the Social Security each and every month, and I will proceed likewise with them as well.
Yes, Islam. The minor that is following Denise Ritchie of the Empire State of Morocco receives, that minor account receives VA benefits every month. And and again, you all already know what demonstrations we put on the public record and everything. And it comes regularly to the minor. I'm the fiduciary of all of that. So these are demonstrations that we're doing also because we have to do them. And so, you know, we're preparing again. Thank you for your question. I know we sometimes go on a little long about it, but I just always want to make sure that we're clear in our explanation of how to of the suggested demonstrations that we do and that we discuss.
Islam. May I get you to send me DeLorean, various denominations?
Sure.
Thank you.
Let's see. What is your
email?
Yeah, just a moment. Just a moment, please.
Okay.
Please, just a moment, please.
Yes.
If you wait just one moment, I'll go ahead and send it while we're on the call.
Thank you.
If you're okay with your email address being out on this call, because this call is gonna go on the record. If you're not comfortable with your email address going on the record like that, then I'll give you our email because we're comfortable with everything that goes on the record.
Can you send it to my Gmail address?
Yes, I sure can.
Thank you. You have it. I think you have it there.
Islam Empress, I just put my email in the chat requesting for the DeLorean, please, as well.
Okay. And Nobility, if you could put your email in the chat, because the chat that's here won't be seen on the public record, so you can put your email address in there.
All right, I'll see if I can.
Nobility, can you put yours in there as well?
Yeah, I'm trying to get to that.
And I'll send it to you right now. Are there any other questions or comments? Let me see.
Yes.
Yes, I am going to show the 13 great writs in just a moment.
One more. One more question.
Angelica, the DeLorean has been sent to you. Hopefully you received it. Just let me know if you can that you received it.
Islam.
Islam.
We spoke a couple of weeks ago about the land document, and I did put my
Yes.
email.
Justice Counsel, I have not forgotten that I'm going to send you the land title. I had put it in those documents under this video, and somehow it's not there, I guess.
Okay.
But I do have it here, and I'm going to go ahead and I'll send it to you. I just have to scan it in. I got to scan it in.
Let me just ask you. I think it's document number 26 that was on the check on the list, number 26. The untitled document.
I'm sorry, say again?
Because I think it's number 26 on the list, and if it's number 26, I've already done it and put it on the public record. But just double checking if that's the correct one.
Okay. So let me make sure I hear you correctly. Are you saying that document number 26 is the land title?
That's correct. Can't hear you.
Okay, Justice Kansu, for some reason, I did not hear your response. Okay.
Okay,
so can you?
I didn't hear you. I didn't hear you. My response.
Yeah, I got booted off the phone. My phone booted.
Okay.
But it's okay. Go ahead. No, Billy.
Like I was saying, it's number 26 on the list of the documents. The land title document. It's number 26 on the.
Oh yes, yes.
So that is.
So you already have it?
Yes, I already have it. I already placed it on the public record.
Perfect. That's beautiful. I knew I had put it out there. Nobility. I knew I had put it out there. I just was not sure. Because sometimes our when we put things out there, and we're putting so many things out there at once, we want to make sure that we're getting everything out there. That should be out there.
Could I also say this as well? I had a dream that I had acres and acres of land. I'm saying, okay, this is already done in the spiritual realm. Am I right to say that?
Yes, you are right to say that. Absolutely, yes.
Islam, I hear.
Yes. It's already, listen, we we won a long time ago. We won a long time ago.
Islam.
We're just walking it out. We're just going through the motions so that we remember. That's all.
Islam.
Yeah. I'm glad you had that dream. You needed to have it so you can see what's already yours. So without a vision, the people perish. We have to see it before it manifests, so that when it does manifest, it won't shock us and us not know what to do with it. That's all that's happening now, even with the banking piece, is we're just walking our way through it, and we're being prepared on a daily basis to handle that much responsibility and do so humbly and willingly and honorably. Because it's to whom much is given, much is required. And so the ancestors are preparing us even in the spirit realm and in the natural to have an abundance and not just and stay and remain ourselves and honorable and ready to help and all of that. Your land is going to be needed for something, whether it be to grow food or to build industry or whatever you choose it for, or to be a place of relaxation, you know. So you need to see the land beforehand and know what to do with it as it manifests, because it's manifesting. You would not have had that dream if it was not already here. We don't dream about things that don't exist. We dream about things that are here already, but that we need to know what to do with it beforehand, before it manifests. I mean, think about it. That many acres and not knowing what to do with it, you know. So did everyone who wanted Delarium get it? Justice Messiah, it was sent. Delarium has been sent, and that's just the privacy. We are all the Messiah indeed. Are there any other questions or comments about the banking? Let's go to the 13 Great Writs really quickly and go back through that information so that we see let's see.
While you're looking, Sister Light, form, whatever you do, do not fill out that form, do not fill out the form, do not fill out that form. Put your affidavit in front, because form means of an affidavit, and that's how we speak. Justice Frank L.
Correct, yes. And you can put their application with your affidavit, so that they know that this is what you're speaking to, that this is the part of the system that you're speaking to.
Correct.
Yeah. Let's see. The 13 Great Writs, I think that will be
Excuse me, Empress. While you're looking for that, may I just ask a quick question?
Sure.
So I just wanted to confirm. So what you mentioned earlier. So if we want to go for a service or you know, if we want to use our medical insurance, you said that in the fiduciary documents, we can say that that we are the fiduciary for the insurance company.
Yes.
And then you
put the insurance company in red, or I'm sorry, in blue, in capitis diminutio minima, and that's how you note it on your fiduciary document.
So then when we go for the procedure, so in that case, we would, the insurance, they can bill will they be billing the insurance, or will we be paying for the whole thing as DeLorean?
They're going to use the system to get what they need from the system, because it's the system that is the debt is where all of the exchange of debt happens. We will issue delarium you can issue delarium for whatever it is, the whole amount, if you want to issue it for the whole amount, or if you want to issue it for a percentage of the amount, and they are to discharge whatever it is that they're trying to put on your minor. The minor, they're trying to put debt onto your state minor, your U.S. federal person, and you're just going to issue delarium and discharge and tell them to discharge that with the delarium. And I would do it for the whole amount.
Okay, and if we just do it for the whole amount, we still have to lien the doctor or the office?
You're not liening the person, you're liening the United States Corporation Company and any corporation that might be trying to push debt, because debt is only conveyed through corporations, not people, corporations. So if the doctor is doing business as a corporation, then that corporation must be liened. But most of them have changed back. In other words, if just look at the bill or go online and see how they have their logo put online. If it's in all capital letters and black ink, then lien it. And even if it's not in capital letters and black ink, because a lot of them had not really said they wanted to be a corporation, but the United States Corporation Company put them in corporate status and started sending them tax bills.
That's right.
So you want to take control of that and put lien in all capital letters, lien that. So it is important that you do lien it so that the corporations can't come and take advantage of the doctor, because the doctor is uncovered and not protected by the Moors. We protect our resources. That's called nationalizing health care.
And if the doctor is independent and not operating as a corporation, then
a lien won't bother him. But you do need to do the lien, simply because, again, the United States, those corporate actors would go around and they would look at corporations on our land and they would say, okay, they're in capitis diminutio minima, let's do a corporate takeover.
Yes, that's right.
A corporate takeover and take them over, and then start sending them tax bills and debt because they're using script, military script. And that's where all of that came from.
Thank you so much, Empress.
You're welcome. You're protecting them by leaning the all caps.
Thank you.
Okay. We were going to, here, let's go to the 13 great writ. And put them on the screen here. And I'll say this about that whole corporate piece, because again, it is imperative that we lien anyone on the land that we are engaging with, so that, because see, again, a lot of them did not incorporate themselves under the United States Corporation Company. All they did was start a good, viable business, and then the corporate entities came along and said, we're going to do a corporate takeover because you're using script. And so that's the purpose of using the Delarium too, is to send notification to everybody that, wait a minute, we know it's our autograph that you all were using, and turning that into military actions against the people. So we're going to use our sovereign autograph to do what we need to do. And so in some cases, you'll have a corporate actor to come back and say, well, we can't really take this because blah, blah, blah. And they got it in their hand while they're talking, saying we received it, but we can't take it. You already took it. Too late. You're going to take it. And anytime I need to use that service, I'm going to use it, because we can capitalize you and start taxing you, because that's where taxing is going to come in at with corporations. We're going to tax them all. We're going to put them in capital letters and tax them. But we have to set up the money system to do that first. Same way that we learned from watching. We learned from looking at 1933 and 1925 and 1913 and 1871 and 1861 and 1776 and 1492 and 1666. We learned from all of those years back. And so now we know what to do. But we first needed to get everybody in alignment in terms of removing that dead court status off of them and taxing them. Listen, they want to pay taxes, because with the taxes comes protections of all kinds. All kinds of protection comes with us taxing business and trade and commerce and exchange on our land. All types of protection for the people, all types of protection for the citizens, especially protection for the Moors, and benefits forevermore for the Moors. And then the companies don't have to worry about the stuff that they're seeing now, where things like mandates and all of this type of madness that's unconstitutional is being put on them. Our job is to protect the assets and the resources on our land, because we're the source of them. So now on the screen, the 13 Great Writs. Again, this is, let's see if there's listed in here. Okay. So list of the 13 Great Writs. Writ of restitutio. Let's look at that really quickly. Writ of restitutio, reserved for remedy and release when the sovereign, so whenever you see man or woman, just say, put sovereign there. And we're not seeking an agreement. So again, these are hypothecated, but I need to pull up the ones that we wrote, because we rewrote these. Let me just see if I can find the rewrite. We did a rewrite. Let's see. Open file location. Let's do that. 28. Okay, here they go. All right, here is our rendition, because it is absolutely what it should be, and it is not this other. So let's put that on the screen instead of the hypothecated one. Okay. Oh, we're working so fast. It's just sometimes we have to actually go back and look at what we did and see. So here's the 13 Great Writs: writ of restitutio, writ of habeas corpus, writ of mandamus, quo warranto, certiorari, prohibitio, procedendo, quorum nobis, sire fascis, salvus, justitial, interdico, and venia. The writ of restitution, or restitutio. The sacred writ of restitutio shall be reserved for remedy and relief when any living sovereign, original indigenous, Moorish American, Al-Moroccan, commands remedy regarding a citizen on our land to end any controversy by presenting proof of their sovereign, ancient, Moorish American, Al-Moroccan standing, restitution and indemnification to an inferior court custodian of the citizen society on our land. The writ shall be served upon the subject magistrate custodian, and I want to make sure that I put this in the proper, the subject custodian in the custodian for the office for the magistrate, or we'll just say magistrate office. Okay, so the subject custodian, because we're the magistrate, and they're just custodians of that office of the citizen society, including such financial instruments to provide financial restitution and assurance against any further controversy. This is why we send the delarium, and then we say to them, we give them the command to, discharge the debt. We let them know that the debt is prepaid. We've already prepaid everything. Not that the debt is prepaid, but that the resource is prepaid. We prepaid for the resources. The debt was never ours. And because we've prepaid for the resources and are continuing to prepay, that's what delarium, sending it out beforehand. When you send delarium out before you go to the doctor, like 2-3 weeks ahead of time, you're prepaying for public services, because that's really what all of that was in the first place. It was never corporate private stuff and corporate private commercial paper and all of that. That was never lawful. So we're paying ahead of time, prepaying in lawful money, and commanding the service. But when you get there, you're going to have the law in your mouth and in hand, so that you can read to them why because the service doesn't even belong to them. The service is our service. Even the doctor that's doing the service is not his own. He learned all of that from the Moors. So that's our service. Now, as we continue moving through this transition, there will be Moorish doctors who will be doing that, who know up front. But right now, we've got to demonstrate that the resources on our land, and that's what some are having problems doing. They don't want to take the time to demonstrate, and then they get violated. And doctors cutting off wrong arms and legs and doing all types of madness and butchering people. And it's like, we have to let them know who we are, because that kind of stuff has to stop. It has to stop. And I'm not saying all doctors are doing that, but a few are just out of control. And that's because no one has put the law on them like this. We have to do judicial banking with these people. That's all we're doing is judicial banking. We have to speak from our court status. Writ of habeas corpus. And I'm going to put something in parentheses here. Writ of habeas corpus alia. I put the word alia there because in ancient times, whenever we went out of our territory to see what was going on in other jurisdictions, if something would happen, we would get ourselves out of that situation by issuing a habeas corpus with aliyah attached to it. What is aliyah? Aliyah says that we're never going to leave our land again and go to any other jurisdiction. And as long as we keep aliyah throughout eternity and never go into another jurisdiction, always stay in our sovereign status, then we cannot be charged with anything, and they can't use their fake instruments. And if you look into fake Israel, the fake state of Israel, they have that too. So some of these people these corpses that were pretending that have done things, and then all of a sudden they come up dead, quote unquote. Well, they were dead already. They were corpses anyway. But when they claim they came up dead and you never see a funeral or anything like that, it's because they ran to fake Israel. Because they know that they can't be charged with anything by going back to fake Israel in the corporate setting. So for us, aliyah habeas corpus is that no matter what is being said, that we're never going to leave our land, so we're never going back into that fake jurisdiction, so they can't charge us with anything. And they were never charging us anyway. They were charging conveyance methods and instruments. And because we were getting pretending to get benefits from those instruments, that's the contract part. Okay? So writ of habeas corpus, and there it is on the screen. I won't read through all of these. Writ of mandamus, there it is on the screen. Writ of quo warranto, there's the description. Writ of certiorari, there's the description there. And I'll just leave these on the screen. You can screenshot them. Writ of prohibitio. Writ of procedendo. A writ of quorum nobis. And writ of spire fascis. Writ of salvus. And some of these writs we will never issue because of the nature of them. Some we will never use. Writ of justentio. Writ of interdito. Writ of venia is the last one. And, you know, again, some of these we will never issue. I believe the writ of the one before writ of venio.
When's your next nationality rally, Pauline? Where's those nationality rallies you talked about, Pauline? Come on, Pauline, let's see you take over some of these buildings. Why Putin's trying to take over Ukraine, why aren't you taking over First Avenue?
They know it's coming for them. They know it's coming for them. They already. That's why he's bringing that up. You know it.
Surely you can take over First Avenue.
It's a wrap. It's a wrap. You know it's a wrap. Quiet in here. All right. So let's finish looking at the one that we will not ever issue that I can think of. I don't see any reason why we would ever issue it, is the writ of interdico, I believe it is. It says the sacred writ of interdico shall be reserved for remedy and relief as a last resort against any citizen, subject, or custodian demonstrating clear contempt for rule of law. The writ of interdico is the most serious and powerful of all the writs in that it commands that every citizen and subject and custodian of every society outlaw the subject or corporation and forbid to do any trade, communication, material support. You can't even help them if they're dying. The writ shall be served on the head of the society, including the arms of the military. The writ shall be and court to see that the writ is executed. The failure by the custodian to immediately execute the writ of interdico shall place the head custodian subject of the society in contempt and personally liable to have their bonds of service seized and the military authorities to have them arrested. As the writ of interdico is so severe, it is reserved for only the worst examples of contempt and evil. And again, Moors, you know, there's nothing that a subject can do that's so bad that we would have to issue that. I'll tell you that much, just from what I can see. The sacred writ of venia is going to pardon all of the other previous. Okay. So, you know, we're moving into the sacred writs now because those are going to be the only way that our court speaks. Aside from, you know, in conjunction with the documents that we have already. The fiduciary document must go with it. A lien on the United States Corporation Company must go with it. Delarium must go with it. Anything that we send out, any of these writs that we send out. Now, these 13 great writs is what our courts are going to be focused on at this point. In terms, because we're always going to be speaking to inferior courts. And that's what these 13 great writs are about, is they speak to inferior courts in our proper status. These are writs that require actions from inferior courts. And I'll say this, that you don't have to be sending it to someplace that calls themselves a court, because all of them, I don't care if it's a grocery store, they were all pretending to be the law and issuing court actions, quote unquote, that say people have to wear masks and all this and that and the third. Nope. They're not courts. They're not the law. A grocery store never was the law. So anybody going in there and them trying to get you to wear a mask was never, that was always supposed, that's out of order, completely out of the natural order. That is a monster. That's a hideous monster. And it should never be the case, ever. So that's why we're focusing on these writs, notifying anybody that we speak to should be getting one of those along with, because that's how we give competent commands, is using the 13 great writs. And they understand the 13 great writs. I have proof of that. And one of these days I'll show you that proof. I'm doing the demonstration now because I received something, and actually the minor that I'm the fiduciary of received something saying send a mandamus. And mandamus was incompetent. They weren't, that's not even the right one to send, but they were saying just send us that, which is something they never would have said previously. But they spoke to the minor that I'm the fiduciary of, saying, can you send a mandamus? So we're gonna do what needs to be done and speak from our sovereign status as always. One last thing. Let's see. We were talking about something earlier. I had something I wanted to bring to your remembrance, and I can't remember what it is, but it'll come back up again. If it's not meant to say right now, then it's not meant to say. But I was gonna make you aware of something. Oh well. With that being said, those are the 13 great writs. That's how we're speaking to banks and all of that. We're speaking to all subjects from this perspective. Are there any other questions or comments about banking? Our banking, we could literally bank without even using the systems that we put in place because we know how to bank judicially at this point. We're going to be doing some more, exchanges just to make sure that the processes are, in place, that the right processes are in place. And I know that they are because of the 13 great writs, because we can do all of our banking that way. And I had not sent, because I talked about this earlier in the call, I had not sent out any of the 13 great writs when I was speaking to the banks, the custodians of the bank. But that might be something that I do as a demonstration in order to command that the Delarium be, the recording of the Delarium be done. So that's all they're doing is recording what we've already done. So for those who are doing banking documents and banking demonstrations, make sure you send these writs from the Article 3 court in your banking demonstration. Okay, and that's what we're going to be doing as well. Are there any other questions, comments, etc.? Thank you in the chat, Justice Frank, and those who are saying things in the chat. Thank you so much. It's an honor. It is absolutely my honor to serve the heirs. It's my honor. I cry just thinking about how fortunate I am that I get to serve the heirs. Very, very fortunate. Very fortunate. So, are there any other questions, comments, etc.? Okay. With that being said, we will go ahead and end the call from here. Peace and grand rising to the sovereign, original, indigenous, master, divine heirs. Islam.
Islam. Grand rising.
Islam, peace and grand rising.
Islam.
Much love. Peace and love.
Islam.
Peace and love.
Grand rising. Peace and love.
Islam.
Peace and love. Grand rising.
Islam.
That's what I was looking at. I said, that's what I couldn't understand. He don't usually do this.
Right. I turned my keys out, and I'm going to do it. I feel